The shape of numbers, sacred geometry, if you will. Let's talk about the shape of numbers. So there are numbers, and then there are shapes. There are sounds, and then there are words. There is knowledge, and then there's the application of the knowledge. Knowledge is what things are, and wisdom is how you apply that. The logos, if you will, the logic, the meaning of the words, the meaning of the sounds. So let's just take dots and put them together and see what shapes we have and see what is in that shape. So let's just start with 7. 7 dots on a piece of paper. Now the piece of paper is just existence itself. It is just our stage. We will get to 1 and we will get to 2 later. A little harder to comprehend, but let's just start with something because we had something. We came and we were not existence itself. There were other things and there were other shapes, and we came out of those shapes and we interact with those shapes and sounds and words and meanings, and here we are. So let's start with 7. There's 7 dots on a piece of paper, and you make a shape, and 1 dot will stand out from all the other 6. Any which way you point that 1 dot is kind of like a triangle, but it's more complex and it's got more sides because there are 7 points. You can put it to the left, you can put it to the right, and you can put it down. They usually put 7 up, pointing up. They usually attribute that to being a higher dimension, a higher point of reference. 7 usually stands for heaven, a heavenly realm. 6 is 3 sides and 3 sides. And any which way you put your 6 dots to make your shape with 6, it mirrors itself. From the top, it mirrors itself to the bottom, to the side, to the side. Even if you do it diagonally, it creates a prism. It mirrors the opposite shape to itself. So it lives in the thing that it is. So if it is a thought, and that thought does not produce something higher, it lives in 6. So it's usually attributed to as hell. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So with 6, it's usually the symbol of that, the home of that thought. So if you're doing the same thing, you're just going to mirror it back and forth and create a prism, create a prison for your mind. 5 then is 5 points, and you have another system where you have 1 point standing out. You do have a center point. It's usually represented in a star. So you have 1 at the top, 2 on the sides, and 2 at the bottom. And you can flip that around and have a lot of people that like 5 like to flip it down. And it is usually used as a reflection of your desires. It's usually symbols of your inner desires from the 3 and the 4 points of contact, and then making 5 being this reflection of yourself, the Shadowland. And then 4 then is time, is the symbols that recognize 3. So 3 is just shapes. You have the shapes, but the shapes live in 3. It's just right there. There's 3 points of contact, and you can make different points of those different contacts, but there's no hierarchy in those points of contact. It doesn't point anywhere. It just stays right there. And 4 goes around and sees the different points of contacts in 3. It cannot see 3 totally. It cannot encompass 3 all the way around. If it did, then it would be 9. 9 can do that. 9 can power all the different points of contact. 9 is not a complete circle. It does have 1 point that is a little off shape, and it can see all the different points of contact. 8 is a time loop. 8 is 0 and 0. It is nothing and nothing, and in that nothing, it loops around and can see everything. It can't see everything, I'm sorry. It loops around and takes you everywhere. And then 9 can be that home of that existence powering it. And then 10 is 0 and 1. The shape of 10 is a circle and a line. A circle with a line through it. A 1 and a 0. The beginning and the end. The end and the beginning. The beginning is 1. The end is 2. There is nothing, and then there's something. We don't know what that nothingness is. We'll get to that in a second. 1 is the dot on the piece of paper. 2 is the other dot on the piece of paper. If you draw a line through it, you have 1 and 2. To recognize 1 and 2, you have 3. 3 and 1. The 0, the nothingness, and the something, we usually attribute that to a God source, a outside of existence. And then the 2 beget 1 is the 3, which is us. So we are man, we are woman, we are one and the same, but we are different. We are the beginning and the end. And then we have a new beginning through our mirroring of each other. But that's the meaning of it. That's what we create with each other. Outside of that existence is what we attribute value to the power source. Is it 10 or is it 11? 11 seems to be, I don't like using 11 as God, because then 11 then can be used as a time loop and as a way to get to Godhood yourself. And then it puts you in a way using the creation to then go up to 33, which is the creation itself as well. I like to stop at 10. And all other numbers are reflections of either 1 or 0. And if you use 11, then it's using 2. And you are using a version of the creation to attribute the order to the creation of God. God is outside of the creation. He is nothing, and he is something. Jesus said, I am, meaning I am existence. His central message was treat others as you want to be treated. So that means he's willing to sacrifice first. He's willing to be the nothingness so you can become something. And then if you don't recognize that something, then it goes back to nothingness. And he is willing to hold that nothingness and give you time to create something in that nothingness to recognize him. Or we just create nothingness and get trapped in one of the other dimensions, one of the Shadowlands, 5 or 6. 7 is the recognition of something higher. And if it's not ourselves, and it's something else, and if it's a piece of the creation, then it's a shadow of something that's in the creation, in one of the numbers. And if it's something outside of one of the numbers, and it's not us, then it's the creator, which is I am, the existence himself. And that's what Jesus said he was. That's pretty cool to me.